In this chapter, we're going to talk about the basic building blocks of a Java program, and that's data and data types. This particular lesson will provide an introduction to data types and a reason for why we need to use data types in our programs. First of all, a data type defines the proper use of an identifier or an expression. An identifier can include things like a variable name or a function, and an expression could be an arithmetic expression, such as a formula, or a string expression where we add text together using something called concatenation. By making sure that our data is well defined, then we make sure that we're using the identifiers and expressions in a correct way. This will actually become more clear as we go through this lesson. Data types also help us determine what type of data can be stored in an identifier or written in an expression. So for example, when we have numeric identifiers like numeric variables, then only numbers can be stored in those variables. Same thing with strings. If we have a string variable, then only a string can be stored in that variable. When we write an expression such as 2 plus 2, the fact that we're using two numeric pieces of data with a arithmetic operator, the plus sign, indicates that that's a legal numeric expression. Just like if we wrote an expression where we wrote hello plus world, which were strings, then that would be legal because the plus sign signifies concatenation for strings. Data types also help us decide what types of operations can be performed on an identifier or an expression. So for example, with a numeric data type, we can perform the standard arithmetic operations. Just like with strings, Java has a set of operations that are defined that can be performed on strings, but not on other types of data. An example of a legal numeric expression is 12 plus 2. Here we have two numeric pieces of data, 12 and 2, actually integers, and the plus sign, which indicates we want to add 2 to 12, and that's legal. An example of an illegal numeric expression might be 12 plus Mike. Here we have a numeric piece of data, 12, and string data, Mike, and those cannot be added together legally. An example of a legal string expression might be hello plus world, where we want to concatenate world to hello to get the single phrase, hello world. And then finally, an example of a legal arithmetic expression is salary times tax rate, where salary and tax rate are defined as numeric variables which can be multiplied together. Some examples of legal numeric data include 1,000, which is an integer, and 3.14159, which is a floating point value, or in Java terms, a double. We have string data such as hello world and Mike. String data is any data that is surrounded in double quotes. Java also has character data, which are single characters surrounded in single quote marks. That data type is called char, and we'll look at it in more detail later. And then finally, we have the Boolean data type, and that's for true and false values. We use Boolean data when we're trying to make decisions in code, either in a branching situation where we decide if we want to perform one set of instructions or another set of instructions, or perhaps in a looping situation where we need to determine if we want to continue looping over a set of code based on some relational expression. And we'll look at all those in more detail later. So that's a brief introduction to data types. In my next lesson, we're going to look specifically at the numeric data types found in Java.